Alrighty, good morning and welcome to something a little bit different. We're going to be covering our Leagues 4 journey, and I apologize this video is coming out pretty late. As of the time of recording, we are a little over 2 weeks into the league, and this is the first time I'm doing any sort of commentation over any clips, so it's not going to be structured very well, so I apologize for your viewing pleasure, but I figured I probably want to get something out while I'm doing a bit of AFK stuff. This league doesn't have much AFK, so I kind of have to post something now or it'll probably never happen otherwise. So I'm going to kind of catch you up to speed, but starting off, I'll show you where we're at right now. Because, based on the gear and stuff, you can tell we've already started. So our region choices for this league, we started with the desert. It has a lot of good early tasks and a lot of good points since the release of Tombs of a Masket, Temperos, a couple other things I'm probably forgetting. The desert is a very good region to pick. Our second region was Zaya, also a new addition for the Trailblazer League. A lot of good stuff there. You got chambers, you got Winter Tot, other stuff. I'm blanking probably because I'm pretty tired, but there's a lot of good stuff in Zaya too. And our third region is Mauritania, so we ended up picking all 3 raids regions. So we got a lot of PVM content to focus on, which is mainly why I picked those 3 regions. Since, as you might know, PVM is my sort of specialty, so I figured I'd probably go with my strengths and see if we can play to them in this league. And for our relics, the first one we chose was Trickster. Reasoning for that was to get passive agility XP. At the moment, I've only ran, I think, 10 Varrock and 10 Draenor laps, and just by having the Sage's Greaves on, we have just about 30 million XP. So 2 weeks into the league, we're 30 mil XP. The highest XP task is 50 mil, so it's kind of a no-brainer to pick Trickster. Also, it has benefits for thieving, so I've got 78 mil thieving, which is pretty much only from buyers. Anytime I go AFK, I usually just plop myself down there. You get probably a good 2-3 minutes of AFK without any of the Candor and Achievement Diaries completed, and a decent bit of blood shards as well. For our second relic, we chose... what was on that tier? I don't even remember. Oh yeah, the teleports. Fairy's Flight is what we picked over Globetrotter. Reasoning for that is Fairy's Flight has a lot of unique teleports that you wouldn't get from any of the spell books or jewelry boxes. And eventually you're going to be unlocking that jewelry and spellbook anyways, so I think Globetrotter kind of lost its value for me in that regard. Third relic, we chose the Banker's Note. Reasoning for that is you can multi-skill a lot, so I'm not really multi-skilling right now with Banker's Note, but what you could do in situations like this, if you're waiting for a Winter Tot game to end, you could bring gems or something, you cut them, you note them, and just kind of do that on repeat. So it has a lot of application for 0-time skilling. For our fourth relic, we chose the melee relic. That's something I kind of regret a little bit, not too much. It kind of locks me out of, well, it might not lock me out, but it makes the special Jad challenge pretty hard. I haven't tried it yet, but I've heard that meleeers have a tough time doing that challenge. And I've seen some kills at Nightmare with Mage, and people that are just shadowing the boss are killing it 2 minutes faster than me, who's scything in full Inquisitor, so kind of lost out there, but, it's alright. Our fifth relic, we chose the Farmer's Fortune, and what that does is instantly grows your plants, which is really useful for me. You can get a bunch of herb seeds from contracts from Zaya, plant them and pick them, and you got 30 herbs in a matter of seconds. So very good for farming XP, very good for herblore XP as well. I'm gonna have to open the relic tier. I'm sorry, I'm kind of trolling right now because I don't even remember these tiers. I'm kind of brain dead. Oh, tier 5 was Treasure Seeker. Actually, I forgot about that. The other two aren't too great. So Treasure Seeker is good because there's a lot of points and clues. So that's what I picked for tier 5. And then tier 6 was the farmer's thing. Tier 7, I picked the Berserker Relic. And basically what that does is you just pretty much max every time you hit something for the first time when it has 100% HP. So that has a lot of application in both Warhammer specking for starting raids, doing Slayer. Every first hit is a max, which is awesome. The only other option I would have picked was maybe Soul Stealer, but it's kind of like a piggyback sort of relic if you need it for helping you out at things like Inferno and stuff. But if you've got Banker's Note, I think it kind of devalues that relic a little bit. If you can just bring unlimited food wherever you go, it's not too useful to have that sort of healing capability. And our last relic, we picked the Guardian. This was kind of a hard choice because the other two have a lot of good applications for raids. But the reason I picked Guardian is because although we do have all 3 raids regions, there is a lot of non-raid content to do. So the Guardian will help for doing things like Slayer and killing wyverns, dragons, other stuff that drops items that we need for points. So that is the reason why I picked the Guardian. Anyways, I flashed this at the time, but if you were looking at the thumbnail, you could see that we are 70,000 points and rank 1. We've gained a little bit of points since that day. I think that was yesterday. But we are still sitting at rank 1, a couple thousand points ahead of Mazhar, who's rank 2. So yeah, we've been grinding a little bit. That's another reason why there aren't really any videos out is, 1, there's not enough AFK time, and 2, I've been playing like, I don't know, I want to say like 19 to 20 hours a day. So this is really the only time that I can make any sort of commentation clips or anything, because Wintertot's pretty AFK, and I'm going to be editing while doing some Temperos as well, and Guardians of the Rift. So I would expect that we probably won't post anything for a couple weeks. It might not even be till the end of the league, if I'm honest, so I wouldn't get your hopes up too much. I just kind of wanted to get at least something out, so I wouldn't be like posting at the end and showing, you know, clips from the start where you're like thieving your first man and all that stuff. But I guess I'll jump into the clips. I'll probably commentate over them. I haven't even started editing things, but I've got, you know, hundreds of hours to look through, so here we go. So starting out, we followed a guide that I created before leagues even came out. We had some tasks released beforehand, so I was able to put about 80 tasks together to knock out the first region, as well as multi-questing and getting some of the easy tasks done for achievement diaries. So this is what I'm doing right now to unlock the desert. The first thing I did when I was in the desert was I bought a couple thousand emeralds. And since I have Banker's Note already, this was my first instance of multi-skilling and kind of showing how powerful it really is. So we headed to the Squirks and finished all the tasks there and got some decent thieving XP that would boost us right up to the point where we can just start thieving the high level stuff and getting a lot of GP. Once we finished that, we got 91 thieving off of AFKing the Menophites. I used this time to look at the task list and start building an efficient route from here, because I didn't have a chance to take a look at the tasks until now. So once we got 91 thieving, we just hit up the Pyramid Plunder and finished all the tasks there for doing each room. So one of my friends let me know about Soul Wars pretty early, telling me how cracked it was for XP, especially in prayer. So my next thing I wanted to do was knock out Spirits of the Elids, so I had a good base level prayer to throw some XP on. And from our first game of Soul Wars, we jumped from like 49 to what, 74 or something. And to finish off day 1, I got a Nature Talisman from Abyssal Leeches. And from Soul Wars, we also bought a couple crates to get us a few thousand Pure Essence, which we then threw right at the Nature Altar. And this is also showing the power of Banker's Note. I could never be convinced to go Fire Sale after doing these things on day 1. It was a huge increase to the XP and set us up pretty well to camp Guardians of the Rift in the future. The thing with recording 20 hours in a day means that sometimes your files can get a little wonky. So the day 2 file did corrupt, so I lost the entirety of that footage, which really sucks because a lot of the early game stuff is the most fun to look at. In that day 2, we got up to tier 7. We did some stuff with farming with the farming relic. We did a lot of tithe farm, and it was mostly just doing tasks and getting up there. Because in this clip, I do have tier 8 unlocked, which I unlocked earlier in day 3. But we started doing some early top runs and managed to pull a scythe very early. Starting the league off incredibly well with a spoon item for my build, so I'm really happy with that. And in the very next raid, we pulled a Sang, so pretty much the two best items we could possibly get on 2 and 3 KC. But we did have the 5 times drop rates at this point, so getting a purple every raid is to be expected. So we took the Scythe for a spin. We didn't even get any Vials of Blood yet, so it is uncharged, but it was still able to out DPS healers at Jad. I wanted to get a second cape because I turned the first one in to access the Inferno, but I'm not quite ready to do the Inferno yet, so I'd like a fire cape to get some better DPS in the meantime. One of the most fun things about doing leagues is starting content very early, and I have a lot of good memories getting the boys together and running some raids. So we've already done TOB, we did a couple chambers, which we didn't get anything from, and the last raid we had to head to was TOA. So we ran a 300, some of us had tier 8, so we had pretty good odds at a drop, and we did end up pulling something. And in typical spoon fashion, I got the one item I really kind of wanted on my first KC. So at this point, leagues are starting off really well for me. After getting the Fang, I headed straight to Dvort Dorvis. The kill times are pretty quick, it's probably like 25-second average, which is awesome. But we did get 3 pieces of the Soul Reaper Axe, and the footage for tomorrow is corrupted, but we also got a Virtus top and bottom. Moving into day number 5, we got a DHCB yesterday, which isn't clipped, but we did get a buckler today, so it pairs pretty well. It's our current best in slot. We sent some more raids with the boys. We got a couple majors in this raid that are looking to get their best in slots. So please don't get mad at me, but we pulled a Shadow on 3 KC. Getting spooned as always. Coming to the end of day 5, everybody else headed to bed, so there weren't any more raids to do. So I decided to start scything some Hill Giants and Moss Giants, and we ended up finishing both the unique items in about 30-45 minutes, so it was pretty easy. Alright, day number 6 was another day full of raids. First thing we got was a Justy chest, which is our first piece of the set. Jumping into the chambers, we got our first piece of Ancestral with the Ancestral top. We didn't have the Virtus top too long, but I'm happy to retire it. It's a nice 200 points. Shortly after, we pulled our first mega rare, being the Elder Maul. Not the ideal one, but it kind of goes hard at Tecton if we don't get much defense reduction, so I'm not too sad about that. Back with some more TOA, we got another purple here, along with a couple of combat achievements. This one not too useful, but it is an extra collection log slot with the Elidinus Ward. Nice 3-mil alch. Going back to TOB again today, we got the chest guard earlier, and now we got the legs, so 2 out of 3 pieces, and we're gonna go send the Inferno now. Finishing up Zuck here. The waves were a lot of fun. You're pretty tanky with Justy and Blood Fury and all that, so it was pretty enjoyable, but I probably don't want to go back here with the DHCB, so I'm gonna go grab a T-bow before we do too many more of these, but it was a good time. Starting off our nightmare kills, the armor will be our best in slot for the rest of the league, but the first drop we got was the mace, which is nice to see. It's good to knock out the rare stuff first. And in the same night, we also pulled another drop, our first piece of the armor being the Hauberk. So 1 out of 3, 200 points for equipping that. So they buffed the clues today. This is day number 8. And we can definitely tell they buffed it because we got our first 3rd age piece ever in this game. It's kind of a shame it happened on leagues, but I'm not too sad about it. It's pretty cool to have. And something tells me they more than buffed the rates because this is one clue after. This is literally back-to-back 3rd age pieces. Even though it's boosted rates, this just feels ridiculous. Well, I was just asking for a T-bow, and we managed to pull one pretty early. This is going to be really nice for the Jad challenges, Inferno, CMs. Very good thing to have, and 400 points, of course. Shortly after the bow, we got a Twisted Kit, which is actually pretty good because it is not boosted, which means it is actually rarer than a T-bow. So getting the rarest item from CM is definitely a good thing. 200 points. Our Tectons weren't going too well, so we went over to the Shamans to grab the Warhammer real quick. That's an easy 200 points there, and we're going to go back for the 1500 KC task at a later time. The last item we needed for our build from Chambers was Claws, which we just pulled right here. So all we're missing is Inquisitor Helm and Legs, and then we've got the full max melee that we can get on the account. Day 10 is going to be real big for us, starting off strong with another piece of Third Age. That is our third piece. Finishing up this combat achievement will give us enough points to pass 56,000, which is Dragon Cup, and it also puts us at rank 1. Back at TOB, we're getting into some hard modes. Here we pull our 7 out of 7 with the Justy Face Guard. It's a nice 400. Walking up with an Unsired just short of the 300 KC task, we pull the Pet, which is awesome because we didn't have a boss pet yet, so very cool. Got another Unsired, which we're going to turn in here, and it does give us the Dagger, which is the last item we need, and we are done with Sire for the League. Day number 11 was a skilling day for us. I want to say we knocked out like maybe 7 or 8 99s in a row, but we left firemaking for last just for something easy, so this is 99 firemaking and max total on the League, 2 weeks in. Nothing much happened on this day besides maxing, but we were doing some CAs and pulled an omelet, which would have been nice if we didn't get the Sire Pet just yesterday. Day 12 was all about upgrading the last pieces of gear we needed. So on a meeting this morning, we pulled the DFS, which is 400 points. Back again at the Nightmare, we pulled our second piece of the Inquisitor set, being the Helm. So we are just one piece off of 400 points and our best in slot melee gear. Doing some more Nightmare about 2 hours later. On 83 KC, we pull the Inquisitor's skirt, so we only got one dupe, which is really sweet, so that is our best in-slot gear obtained. Now that we got full Justice Shard, it only makes sense to get the door with it, so this is going to be a lot of fun to play with. Not sure when I'm going to use it, but it's going to be nice. Finishing up the Jad combat achievements for a nice little combo of 600 points. Nothing in there is particularly difficult, so I consider those pretty free points that we picked up, so 68,000 points at the moment. And to end off the day on the money 700s, we pulled the Lightbearer, which we definitely needed for hitting a lot more Warhammer specs during RCMs and TOB. Nothing to show from day number 13 because we spent the whole day doing barrows, but on day 14 we finished it with the Thorax Hammers, which is the last set that we needed. So if we put that on, we get 80 points for the Thorax and also 200 points for equipping every barrow set, which gets us exactly at 70,000 points. We were the first person to do so by a decent margin, about 5k points, so pretty happy with that. Alright, that's all I've got. It's not a lot of clips for 2 weeks, but it would have taken so much longer to comb through that and like pick those individual tasks out, so I figured probably just include the gear upgrades, like the more interesting stuff. You know, there's a lot of skilling milestones and tasks that I completed that aren't shown, but if you want, you can look me up on the OSRS wiki. If you look me up under the task list, it will show the tasks that I have completed and the tasks I have remaining. But at the moment, we started recording this at 70,000 points and I am now 73,280, which goes to show how long it is taking to comb through all this footage, but finally done with that. I'll put the leaderboard up right now for today. It is not looking too good. I mean, compared to when I hit 70k, I was quite a bit ahead, but getting close now. Tom is rank 2. That's good luck on Tom. And Mazar is 3rd. Both of those guys are absolute demons when it comes to leagues, so seeing them in 2nd and 3rd is definitely not something that gives me too much confidence, but I feel like we're probably going to be pretty close for the next 6 weeks. Should be a lot of fun. Speaking of 6 weeks, I don't think I'm going to be able to get anything out until 6 weeks. Reason for that is nothing is really AFK at this point. I did a bunch of Temperos, did some Wintertot, Guardians of the Rift while making this, but I'm mostly done with all that stuff now, so I don't have a whole lot left to AFK. I could AFK like T-Clogs or something, but anything that I can speed up, I probably will speed up, so I will take the opportunity to 1.5 tick the Teaks instead of AFKing. But I'll try to get something out. I'm gonna say 90% sure I won't, but I will do my best. If I have the opportunity to do so, I will do my best. But that's it. I apologize again because it's kind of set up in a weird way. I don't really like the whole commentating over everything. I do like clips that are kind of raw and come from the moment, and you can kind of commentate how you feel at the moment, but didn't really get a chance to do that being stupid tired or being in Discord with the boys. So not the kind of the content I wanted to make, but it'll have to do for now. Alright, we're gonna wrap it up here. I've been yapping a little too much. I'm sure no one wants to hear that, so I'm gonna get back to it. I'm gonna finish up this forestry and knock out some of these hard clues. And yeah, I hope to see you in less than 6 weeks, but we will see what happens. Peace.